What's happening? Andy here. I am joined today by Jen Healy of Ricoh. How are you today, Jen?
Great, Andy. Long time.
Long time. It is so good to see you. What's happening? Where are you today?
Well, let's see. The last time I spoke to you, I was living up in Chicago. I have now, during the pandemic times, relocated back to Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, in my home. So yeah, did a little move since the last time we
Wow.
spoke.
Well, welcome back down to the South. I guess that is technically the South.
It is.
Atlanta's a great town. I didn't even know you moved. That's so cool. So why don't you, before we get into the conversation, the interview, what do you do for Ricoh? What's your role there now?
Yeah. So let's see. I'm now the senior director of the dealer marketing strategy, planning, and sales enablement. So I am focused all marketing, Jim's right hand person from a marketing perspective, and absolutely love it and excited. I'm fully dedicated to the dealer division
That is
already.
awesome.
So, yeah.
Very cool. I've enjoyed working with you over the years in your other roles. So I imagine
Yeah.
we'll be doing a lot more. You must be crazy, crazy busy this year, especially you. And that's the purpose of the chat today, right? I just kind of you're coming off of a big road show. We had a conflict. I wasn't able to make it, so I kind of wanted to touch base, talk about what cities were you in, and what did you guys do on that road show? What'd you talk about? What were some highlights?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole the intention, right, of those regional road shows that we did was, we had what we called Rico Connections, was all the virtual stuff that happened during the pandemic time, and really wanted to get back with all of our dealers, and we put this road show together, and the idea behind it was to have meaningful connections, with our dealers and in a very intimate way. And that's the one thing that we heard about all of those was the feedback is we love the intimacy. And, Rico has a lot of new executives, and it was really important to have that one-on-one time. When you get to ConvergeX, right, 800,000 people, you can't necessarily have that connection, with them at those events. So we did these events and we had them, there was the first one was in Charlotte in December, at Hendrix, which is one of our partners. And then we had, of course, in January, Philadelphia with the Eagles. And then our final one was in March in Austin, at the University of Texas. So again, we wanted to have, it was bi-directional. We had a lot of think tanks, and really solidifying our FY23 strategy, getting feedback, showing the vision of where we're going, and then hearing from our dealers and making sure that they had input and where we're going so that we can transform together. And that's really going to be, all of our interactions as we move forward into FY23. We just start our new year, April 1st. And we have a lot of actions coming out of those think tanks. And that will lead us to our big event, our national event in October,
So the
which will
national
be in
event, you're
Denver.
having road shows and a national event in one year. That's a ton.
It
Where's the
is.
national event this year?
Yeah, so it's going to be in Denver. So it'll be in October. And so we'll have a national event there. And we're also going to do it in conjunction with our Boulder Customer Experience Center.
So
So
that
part of
that's
that
the
will be with that.
I was going to ask you about that. That's so I've been out there, and that's the old IBM facility, and then it was the IBM Ricoh facility, and now you've just completely it's the Ricoh facility, right? And that's all what we would call big iron. That's just massive stuff, inkjet presses, and tell us about that facility.
Yeah. So that facility, right? They still IBM still has there's no one there, but they still have some of the space, but it's more for, IT data backup center kind of thing. But it's really the Rico area. And we have two components of it. It's the customer experience center, where yes, you have the big engines and it has everything and anything production that Rico does, from small entry level production all the way through, like you said, the big engines and our wide format. And so they can go through and see, and we have it, it's a running facility where a lot of stuff is being printed, as well as thinking outside the box and what our capabilities. We also have a customer briefing center where, and our dealers use it, where they bring in their customers. And, it's run in conjunction with our dealers and ourselves. And, we go through with their customers the expectations and where do they want to go, and show some of the capabilities of Ricoh along with our dealers and why they should, choose production. And so it's a really cool experience. So we're going to add that, and it's to our benefit. It's only 30 minutes away, as from Denver. So that'll be part of the whole entire experience going into Denver.
Well, thank goodness, because it's not an official event unless there's a bus ride involved. So
right, exactly. No, but I mean, that was, some of the feedback, right? And, we've really grown this year in production with, with our dealers and their commitment to us, and want to continue to focus in that area, from that to, workflows, and really focusing around the core and the adjacencies of our core. So that really came out of the think tanks too. And what do customers care about, and how are we going to grow together?
Yeah, that facility is it's awesome. It's when you walk in there, it's at a different level, and the investment that you guys have put into just the exhaust and the power and just the aesthetics of it. It's really really impressive. Back to the roadshow, before we talked, before we came on, you had mentioned some of the things that you had launched, and one that I kind of wanted to talk about today. You had this turnkey program that you guys were rolling out for dealers. And tell me a little bit about that for marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of, like I said, the think tanks was talking about trends and customers and challenges. And, one of the things that, we worked in conjunction with, our National Dealer Council and our dealers, over the last couple of years, and really fine tune, was what we're calling dealer sales and marketing kits. And it's working together and looking for where's the opportunities and what are the customers' challenges. And we've created these kits that help them from, what's the buyer persona, what's the buyer's journey, and what is all the different content and tools that you need to connect with the customer throughout that journey. So whether it be, social, email, all the way to, having a business conversation from a sales rep standpoint, training, and, all the tools and resources. So not to, give out all the secret sauce, but, that's what we did. And it's really putting their brand forward, because it's important. Ricoh is their partner. And that's one of the things that we heard is, hey, we want to put our brand forward with Ricoh, and we lead to a solution. And when I say solution, that could be anything, for that customer.
This is an area that they've, in my opinion, that a lot of dealers, not all, but I would say the majority struggle, right? A lot of them, we've joked on our show here in the past, but a lot of them, set up a website day one, never touched it again. And it's time to really take a look at not just your website, but, your image that you're putting forth, and what does it say about you? What does it say about your company? It's a really good opportunity to showcase, your brand and build that brand, and, kind of piggyback on the major brands that you may carry, Ricoh being, one of them. So I love that you're helping them sort of turn that corner. A lot of them really could use some work. That takes me to the next part of this, which is e-commerce. Is there a plan for e-commerce with this? Is there the dealers on their own with that, or where are you guys? What's Ricoh's thought on e-commerce and the dealers and what they need to do?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the things that we discussed, in our think tanks was, what's going on with the customers. And you remember when we talked about buyer 2.0, if you remember back, how long was it? 8-9 years ago. And we scared everybody. We said, 50-60% of, your customers are, transacting and looking and doing business without even talking to your sales reps. Well, everyone's gone digital. And so now what you're having is that, it's depending on which, company you're looking at, right? Analysts, and predictions, 70-80%, right? That's happening now, right? So they're going out and they're getting information, and they're not necessarily speaking to a salesperson. Now, it doesn't mean the salesperson's not involved, and the salesperson can be involved, to your point, which is sending out social, doing emails, and leading to their website, right? Which gets into that e-commerce. And I really, let's call it digital customer engagement. Okay. Because e-commerce is really a B2C strategy. And I know everybody talks about e-commerce, but let's talk about digital customer engagement, because it can be, and it's a little scary when people say e-commerce, because like, oh, great, I need to put my price out there. Now
Yeah,
we're
now
going
I'm
to be
selling
price
against
driven,
Amazon.
right? I mean, are you hearing that right now, where that's the fear?
That's what everybody's stuck at is what do I do? Everyone says I need to be on e-commerce. I'm not going to compete or build something to go against Amazon, but there's something in between those two extremes.
And that's Ricoh is really looking at from a digital standpoint, and that's that customer engagement. How am I going to engage with my customer? Because a lot of them want to engage, online. Doesn't mean you have to put a price out there. Maybe it's, you're looking at, hey, it's my printers and I'm going to put some stuff out there because you know what, at that point, it's a commodity. I'm going to put it. And that's the thoughtfulness that you need to have when you're putting the strategy together. And then maybe if it's taken down a certain path and there's chatbots coming in, right? Or it's engaged with my sales rep, or it's a lead development person. There's a lot of things that our dealers need to think through. We at Ricoh are thinking through, right? What's the next evolution? How do I connect and how do I stay connected digitally with those prospects and customers? So we have added a program to our co-op program as a whole to help our dealers. So we are working with our dealers on that next evolution. We have some early adopters, and we have some that, maybe in Denver we'll be talking about successes or pitfalls and so on. So hoping to have a lot more information to share with our dealer community in Denver.
So all of this program, this is all co-opable, just like the old days, the training that you would have, or
Yep.
marketing, the dealer submits, their co-op expenses and you'll cover it. And so this is helping with the website design. It's helping with the social media, the marketing, the e-commerce. Who are you using for your e-commerce? Can you say?
Yeah, so we're using Keypoint's Uverce.
All
So
right.
that's who we partner with from a co-op standpoint. And then Ricoh is looking at what are we building for our own, and maybe at some point also offering that to maybe some of our dealers as well. Now we know that some are multi-line, so they may not want to do that.
A lot of them
But
are
we want to
multi-line, and
have,
there's nothing wrong with that, right? I
yeah,
mean,
have different
everybody,
options
a
for
lot of
different
companies
people.
learned in the last year or two that putting all your eggs in one basket it can be risky. So
Yep.
um, the e-commerce thing is really interesting to me because you did mention something I thought that was, you know, um, the big issue, right? And when we talked about it, we joked about it, is that, none of these dealers thinks that they're going to go up against Amazon, but, you know, take it to that next step when you've got people on your site. When you think about your own patterns, right? When you get into something and you're researching and you finally get to that point where you may not even be ready to buy it, but you just want to know that one little piece of information, the cost. At the very end, you want a cost. It doesn't have to be, you can put a ballpark cost on there. You can put a message that allows people to understand that, there are contracts if you're in religious affiliated or healthcare or
Mm-hmm.
legal, ABA. There may be additional savings, but nothing sends me away from a website faster than when I'm trying to find that information and I can't find it, right? And
Right.
if I'm looking for printers, cost is certainly going to be one of those things. And so I don't know if maybe the answer is a lost leader. You just put your basic, most inexpensive products on there. Maybe you just have a couple on there, or you do specials. But I think a lot of companies do understand that, when I'm looking at the ABC copier dealer at their website, if it's a couple dollars more than I see on Amazon, but they explain why it's a couple dollars more, I might buy it from them, right? I may
Right.
not necessarily, I don't always, my own personal preference is I like to buy I like to get a good deal, but I'm not necessarily going to buy the cheapest thing I can find, because when you hit a certain level, light bulbs start going off in your head and you start thinking, well, why is everybody else up here and they're down here? And then you find out, oh, because they're going to whack me on the shipping, or
Right.
or
Yep.
there's some other little thing I hadn't considered, or an
Or
installation.
I can get it in 6 weeks versus,
Yes.
5 months.
Yes.
Right.
Yep, and that's exactly it. So that's very cool. The e-commerce thing, there's a lot of the OEMs are sitting back, not doing anything, and a few of them, a small handful of you guys are, I think, taking kind of a leadership role in this and really trying to help your dealers along. And let's face it, like, that stuff's already out there. I mean, if I
Yep.
do a search right now, you're no different. I'm pretty sure when I did this a month ago, there was only one brand that had nothing on Amazon. You had stuff on Amazon. All of your competitors had stuff on Amazon. Um, Amazon isn't just Amazon. Amazon's a place for anybody to sell. So, any
Right.
dealer watching this could really set up their account and sell their Ricoh gear, or if they're another brand, they could sell possibly those other brands. But, to not come up in the search, right? When
Mm-hmm.
people are actively, I mean, you work so hard to find that person that's looking for managed print or production print information or office technology and just to send them off your website because you don't want to give them a price. Just it's an antiquated way to think.
And I think it's, like, and I was saying, that customer engagement piece of it too is, that, a customer may be thinking of them in one way, but there may be other, solutions that help, like from a workflow standpoint. And it could be where you're offering up more content for them to digest, right? That offers a complete solution to their problem. And then also offering like that chat or that inside sales rep to answer more questions, right? And or follow up. And oh, by the way, I can tell you where I know some things I'm not going to get a price on. I'm thinking from a marketing perspective, right? Because we're always looking for technology and so on. But it's really great when I have that sales rep who gets all the information from the website, right? Who's learned my journey and
Yep.
is having a meaningful conversation versus starting with me of, hey, I want to talk to you about all this stuff. Instead, hey, let me talk to you about X, Y, and Z. What are you trying to solve for, right? It looks like this. And that's when they're closing that sale. They're more intelligent walking in that door than walking in blindly. So that's some of the things that you can do from that engagement standpoint on your website.
Well, and I saw a great presentation. I can't remember. I think it was AIS gave it a couple. It was last year at one of the BTA events, and it was referencing the pool guy. That everybody knows this pool story, and I read the book, and I'm blanking on the name. Chris Taylor, I think, presented it. I could be wrong. Uh, and the whole concept was, little tiny pool store, no different than any other pool store, figured out some things on their website, and
Mm-hmm.
suddenly became a voice of education and started helping people understand what they were buying and comparing his pool technology to the different pools that were out there and just being honest about it. Not this is the best one, this is the one you want, just explaining all the things that a new pool buyer would have as questions. And his rankings went through the roof. And it just, this is the ultimate story because the end result was he started selling an incredibly, just a ton of pools, because he had all these people on his site. He started building trust with them. He started answering their questions because now he gave them all the information that the other websites wouldn't give, right? How much ballpark am I looking at? And he would give you a little calculator based on, the size, how big you wanted it, how much the different types would cost. And he explained that his pool wasn't good for you if these were the types of things that you're dealing with your yard or with what you're trying to, what kind of pool you wanted. It was just such a great analogy to what we do and completely apt because it was just so on point because it's just, if you educate your customers, and it's exactly what you were just talking about. If you educate your customers, if you enable them to feel like they're understanding a little bit better the process, they're understanding what the products are, they start trusting you. And as a sales company, especially with a new customer, that's one of your biggest obstacles, in my opinion, is they don't know you, they haven't done business with you. um, you don't have a reputation yet. So, the fact that they came to you and then you
Yeah.
gave them some information and then they came back to you and you gave them more information, and you're not going to get every sale doing that. But you know what? If you got a quarter of them or half of them, I mean, this pool guy was getting an incredible number of a high percentage of closing based on people who were on his site. And it's just, that's kind of the new way of doing it. The more you help your potential customer, your prospect, understand what the real cost of this is going to be, and you don't keep giving them gotchas, and oh, we forgot to tell you the shipping was going to cost this much, and there's an installation fee and an activation fee and so many fees, right? And
Well, it's
all of a
bringing
sudden,
value. At the end of the
yeah,
day, bringing value.
yeah, I love it, I love it. So this is
Yes.
awesome. Anything else we're going to see in Boulder, or not in Boulder, in Denver? What else
Um,
what else are we going to be
yeah, I
showing
mean,
there?
like I said, everything has been leading to this and, getting the feedback and working with, our dealers through these regional events with their input and the interactions. You're going to see involvement from our dealers at this. So it's not our show, it's their show, right?
That's
So that's
awesome. And I
Summit.
love
So
that
it's
you're doing it in Denver. I don't think I've ever been to a dealer show in Denver. I've been out there. We were chatting before we started recording. I've been out there a bunch of times for industry stuff. All copy is out there, and they had a CDA meeting I went to. Been at your facility. It's just such a great spot. But just to do a dealer show, and then on top of it, by the way, this is your first big dealer conference since 2018, maybe 19.
19, yeah, right before
19,
the
right
pandemic.
before. Yeah,
Yep.
right
It
before.
was literally months before.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it's
that's
been
when
a
we went
long
into
time, so
Ricoh
welcome
Connection.
back, right? And
Yeah.
is it going to be a Converge X? What are you going to call it? Do you have a name for it yet?
Well, it's going to be a summit. So we went from Converge
Ooh.
X to it's going to be some kind of a summit. I don't know what the official name is. We're working through all that. Stay tuned. Invitations, everything else will be coming out. But we went from connections to forums to I think it's more like a summit. Because again, it's you're going to see a lot more different things. It's not the traditional Converge X. We're not going to that, right now. It's much more about, again, those meaningful connections and now really putting action into motion.
Well, the fact that it's not in Las Vegas, I'm very happy about that. It's that's such a typical place. And Vegas is always great for a show. But it's just nice to mix it up and do it at a different location, especially one that, hasn't really been done in a long time, if ever. I just don't remember anything being, this significant out there. So
Yeah.
looking forward to it. And,
Yeah,
and
no,
then, so we'll see you out there, and then anywhere in between. Are you guys going to be doing any of the association shows or any of the peer group shows, anything in between now and then?
I think there's been some opportunities. Jim has been making his way around at some of these, so you'll see Mr. Caridi. In fact, you may see me. So there may be some stuff going on out there between then. But right now, we're all about it's the first half of the year, getting into all of the actions that are coming out of these regional events, and really moving forward and partnering with our dealers as we go into Denver. So again, just really excited about it. Lots of stuff. Team's really busy. And we're looking forward to seeing you there too.
Well, I can't wait. It has been way too long. And thank you so much for coming on today. This was awesome catching up. Really excited to hear about that turnkey package for the dealers. And, my goodness, there are a lot of them. I can think of like 5 or 10 of them off the top of my head who, God bless them, they're great companies, terrible websites. Like, I don't understand why our industry just, they all set them up in like 2003 and then never changed them. And oh man, there's just such opportunity to get data and analytics, and it's so rich with just information, but you have to set it up right. You have to, maybe update it a little every now and then. So I love that you're enabling them to do that, and then putting an e-commerce package on there from Keypoint, or I mean anybody that you're using. If you're a dealer is great, but obviously it's a trusted name like that. And to hear Ricoh is working with them, that obviously brings a lot of credibility to that. So this was awesome. Thank you so much. And any last shout outs to anyone before I let you go?
To all our dealer community, and just like I said in the beginning, you can ask people to transform, but you need to partner together and offer all the tools and resources so that we can all transform. So that's kind of the key here. And all of our BCs and SSSs and Jim's leadership, just working all together. And like I said, thank you for having me on here. It's been a while, and I look forward to talking to you soon again.
Yes, I can't wait to see you. Take care, and we'll talk soon. Hopefully, maybe we'll get one more of these in before the big conference.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks, Andy.